welcome back. As you can see, I have Dave Johnson again.
Hello,
David
everyone.
Johnson. I always want to say Dave instead of David. But anyways, you know what? I have to admit something. Deep down in my heart, I was so jealous that you did a video with Cash Peters. Woo!
Well, you
You
should be jealous because he's awesome. You know, he's amazing. Look, I got so much out of that conversation. If you watch it, you will see that, he did a reading for me. It was monumental in terms of, in some sense, it's like a great reading because it's so obvious. Like, I already know I'm overdoing it with the information intake. I knew this 3 months ago, but I slipped back into my bad habits. And he was like, Dave, what you doing? And the minute he said that, I'm like, well, okay, I'm gonna have to really temper this. And the next day, it was just so much better, so revelatory. So yeah, I really appreciate him. I see why people are jealous of his time.
Right. Yeah, he's such a unique character and
Mhm.
in a positive way. I mean, he's just so
Uh,
unique that I think he may or may not know that we see him as very unique, but yet one among us. You know what I'm saying? We're like
mhm.
equal, but yet he's very unique in that equal. So yeah, I
Yeah,
was very jealous about that. But anyways, so are you guys are heading into your springtime there in Australia?
we are, and thank heaven. I am so sick of wet and rain and cold.
Yeah. You guys don't necessarily get much snow there, do you?
There are some mountains where you can ski in Australia, but you got to go to I think they're called the Snowy Mountains. Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but Australia has deserts, jungles, like full on gnarly jungles and mountains with snow. There's pictures of kangaroos with like snow on their head. Isn't that funny? So you
I'm gonna
wouldn't
have
think
to find one
so.
of those.
Yeah, if you take a look, you just Google it. Yeah, there's a real variety of climates, not only the super dry.
Wow. Very
Mhm.
cool.
And we've been having a terrible El Nino, so there's been horrible floods, especially in Sydney.
You know, New York and downtown, I think it's Dallas or Fort Worth or somewhere in Texas, there was some major flooding as well. And they're just, and also in Louisiana, I mean, we've here in the States have been really having some trouble with flooding and rain and something that is just flipped. Everything's flipped here.
Yeah.
Politics, weather, everything.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought America was volatile because it has very volatile weather.
Yes.
So,
This
my
is
great grandmother could tell me stories about it was so snowing so much that she had to run to get the wood to bring back to the house because it could blizzard so much that while you're there, you can't find your way back to the house and you rush walk off in the snow and disappear. And she told my mom that that had happened sometimes. That's America.
wow.
Tornadoes, cyclones, hurricanes, Donald Trump, it's all there.
Something's trying to take us out every second. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, other than the monumental, huge, big video that you did with Cash Peters, what else have you been doing on your channel?
So much stuff. I'm still doing some past life regression work, some intuitive healing work, and I just love that kind of work. One thing about, as you know, our job, it's pretty self-created, so you can go in any direction. I am considering, and I think I'm going to do this at some point, shamanic groups, getting 5 or 6 people together and doing shamanic journeys online.
Oh, fantastic.
Um, yeah, yeah. I kind of thought other people were doing this, and they kind of are, but I don't know if they're doing it in the same way. And I like the idea of it being more direct, and I love doing that shamanic work.
Oh,
You know,
fantastic.
as you know, the most interesting thing for me is getting people to do intuitive work on their own rather than doing it for them. And that shamanic work, it can really get you in touch with your abilities, It's very earthy. So I think it's safer than, going out there and channeling. I think you got to be a little more careful. It's very earthy, and once you meet that power animal, it's there for you always, right?
Right.
Have you ever done anything like that?
I have not. I have only education variety of what shamanic work, or how do you say it? Say it.
Shamanic? Hmm.
Shamanic. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm saying it right. Work is. That's all I've ever experienced, and that is just the educational variety of knowing, reading what it was and stuff like that. But
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know. I'd be interested in that to see
All
what's
right.
going
When I
on.
do the sessions, you will be the
Yeah,
first I let know.
there you go. And I'll be your student. Well, I know that you did a reading, and I know that I have permission to talk about her. Liz, you did a life regression with Liz.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
I
was
did.
so you just briefly. So how did that go? Because I know she gave me a little bit of feedback, but
I think it went really well. This is the funny thing, Sheila, is I forget about them.
yes,
So
because they're not your
unlike
work. Yeah,
unlike other work that I wouldn't necessarily forget about, like if I teach somebody a channel, I don't forget about that.
yeah,
And the woman who did the quantum healing, the creator, Dolores Cannon, said that that would happen.
right.
And it's like my psyche I can't carry all this information. It would be totally
No,
overwhelming. So I will literally, like, the next day, people will call me and be like, well, that was so great. Why did you do that? And I'm like, I gotta watch the video. I don't know why I did that. It's very interesting.
I completely agree. I do readings too. We will do a reading, and you had a reading with me about 3 weeks ago. Do you remember you said this? I'm like, no, that was not my message. Therefore, that message that came in, and it was for you to retain, not for me to retain, because
Hmm.
I'm just a vessel of
Hmm.
of it. And I understand that completely, but I know that Liz really got a lot out of it, and I know that she really appreciates what you do. So just to let you
And
know that. And hi, Liz.
and Liz is in South America, right?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm starting to remember
Cosmo.
her.
Yeah, yeah. Cosmo, I
I'm
think.
starting to remember her, if not the sessions. Yeah.
I know you probably had like 30 before, after her, and before. I know.
Yeah.
It was the one that I gifted, I think it was.
I thank you very much. That was very generous of you for both her and me.
Yes, I think that was awesome. So anyhow, those are the ways I also pay it forward and also give back to the community as well. So um
Marvelous.
it's one of those things. I don't like announce that I get gift things, but like I just did. But anyhow,
Sometimes, sometimes you got
it's yeah, those are private interactions, I guess as I should
it.
say. All right, so we have a lot of questions tonight, at least 50 of them. I'm gonna try to get through as many as possible. Are you ready? Some of
I am
these
so
are
ready.
some of these are a little personal. Do you want to answer these? Like this one here says, Dave, why do spirits hide? And it says often when they are caught on camera, they seem to be hiding. That's not necessarily a personal one, but is this something that you would?
No. Oh, I can answer that question. I'm not sure what they mean by spirit hide. Do they mean hide from me or from them or generally? I
Well,
don't. What do you
in
think?
so when we are speaking to the other side, or if we go into a home that is considered quote unquote haunted, and there are spirits that are running around, I think the question is geared towards, why do they hide? Why can't they just be out and open and say, here I am? Why would they be hiding?
Good question. And I don't necessarily know the answer myself. A great, again, Dolores Cannon book is Five Lives Remembered. And in Five Lives Remembered, it's one woman remembering five of her lives, in each of which she's a woman. And the very first one is she is murdered. She lives in a castle, and the opposing castle breaks in while her father and uncle are away fighting somewhere else, and they kill her and torture her in a horrible fashion. And she is so angry that she drives them all nuts. The swords dance in front of them. Some guy who's trying to hit somebody actually stabs himself, and they think he's crazy and kill him. And it's like, why? And it's like she just had such a really strong attachment to that lifetime. Perhaps her, soul, personality, whatever, was just so incredibly powerful. And the other thing that I'll say to that is maybe one of my very first experiences that didn't make sense was when I went to, I think I was 13 or 14, and this woman was in the house and there was a poltergeist. And
Mm.
she called me up because she was babysitting. She said, "Could you come over? I'm afraid." And I was like, "Nah." And I was a pretty scientific person at that point. But the things that happened, I could not explain. Right. And I remember walking home going, I cannot figure out how that object flew across the room and hit the wall. I can't figure it out. And so, uh, I don't know, but that they say, for example, that often happens with young people, with teenagers, and they have like the kind of energy that almost brings that out. And she was definitely kind of a person with a very intense personality, a lot of family problems, and then it came out like that. I was at the beginning of my intuitive journey, so maybe there was another reason, like sort of the universe is saying, Dave, there's more to the world than logic. Maybe you want to take a look at that. So I think it has to do a bit. Often people say that when a loved one has passed, they'll be in a situation sometime later where they'll be crying and they'll be really upset and they'll almost feel like the loved one is there with their hand on their shoulder or kind of comforting them. And I kind of believe that that happens, that when people pass, they come to comfort us and let us know it's all going to be okay. That happens just because there's a purpose to it. I think if you're noting some disturbances around you, you might ask, what am I being told by this? Right? I haven't really heard of anybody getting really harmed by a poltergeist physically. So if you can get beyond fear,
And that's something that they can also go and meditate and also ask spirit for the same question. A lot of times when they ask these questions, like there's a moment in time where you're more than welcome to quiet your soul, sit down with spirit and literally ask that question. Now,
yeah,
I don't know if they are hiding. I don't know if that's an intentional hiding. I don't know. Do they know that they're dead? Do they know that what they're doing? Do they
good
know?
point.
So we don't know any of those answers
Uh-huh.
as living. So we too can definitely sit back and meditate and
Hmm.
find out the answer. The first thought that came to my mind was that um, they they are just as afraid of us as we are afraid of them, like a
Hmm.
animal. And I thought the same. That was
Uh,
my first thought when I came through. So
I don't know if they know they're dead.
yeah, I
It
don't.
really is a little bit like that. And look at Newton. He writes about people's past lives,
Yeah,
and he talks about why they're ghosts,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. I'm definitely
unresolved conflicts on Earth.
sure.
Um,
I think we have our best guesses the reason why they're here, to be honest with you. I mean, we can feel
mhm,
it strongly when we say it, and we can like, yeah, that fits, that makes a little bit more sense. But
mhm,
I'm more on the afterlife with people and connection there than I am with aliens. There's a lot of people that have alien connection. I have spirit connections. so
uh,
so I'm better in that realm than I am with the other ones, which I believe in aliens too. But anyways, so we have here a question from Lisa. It says, "Hi Dave, do you know why it's necessary to have no memory of our purpose when we volunteer to come to the planet? Do you have any idea
mhm.
why we have to be veiled?"
Well, keep in mind that the veil is thinning now in our time.
It's true that.
For all those, you're starting to remember your past lives and your purpose, right? But it would be kind of like, if you take a test and you know all the answers in advance, right? There's free will. If it was obvious that you should always do the good thing, then we wouldn't. We would just do the good thing if it wasn't a difficult choice. And keep in mind that it is a difficult choice. We have to make difficult questions. We have to answer them. It's not easy to be a human And I think that's what people are talking about. Like, hey guys, could you just make it a little bit easier? But we are embodied, and I think we just kind of almost like get in a habit of, you wake up in the morning, you go to school, this is what happens. The teacher isn't, mystical and flying around the room. She's not telling you about past lives. So this is the reality that we're trained to accept. It's almost like you and I and the viewers, we're pushing that envelope a little bit more to go, no, I want to remember, or I want to know there's something beyond the physical reality. I also think that, there's some of these abilities that if they were in the wrong hands, they could do a lot of damage.
Well,
Um,
that's what I would, so that brings up an excellent point. I remember I went to a Native American dance, and I was in the arbor. It's called an arbor. You've probably been there, where they're the dancers, they don't drink, they don't eat while they're dancing, and stuff like that. And by the third day, there's a whole ceremony. You guys will have to look that all up to get a better explanation. But anyways, how I was explained to that was that they go into the spirit realm. They're like they're there, and they're finally in this highest
mhm.
spirit realm as they're dancing and stuff like that. And you can't look them in the eye, because if you look them in the eye when you're on the outside, you will feel the power. It'll give you a headache. It will make you nauseous. They're just,
Mm.
don't look them in the eye, right? And it just dawned on me that when we come into this world, if we are in memory, or if we start feeling or knowing, or just being in that upper realm, our bodies cannot do it. It's not functioned enough, it's not conditioned enough to feel such high vibration.
Mhm.
And we
Mhm.
have high vibrations here on earth that we can ascend, we can do blah 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 blah. But I mean, death is like up here. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? or
yeah,
or
yeah,
before you come down to this, or the vibrations way up here, way out of our reach. And I don't think
Mm.
that vibration and our current vibration within a physical body can meet the moment and be in the same space.
I totally agree. That is absolutely true. I'm channeling now with a group of people, fantastic group of people. Along with them, I'm doing, much more trans channeling, where I feel like, a being, actually an alien, is in my body, right? But it takes us 10, 15 minutes to get there. It doesn't leap
Yeah.
in. It's with this group, you kind of get the impression that your vibration has to alter, and your vibration has to sort of move up in sort of stages to the point where you feel comfortable doing that. That's really important. You don't want to feel like, ew, this creature is entering my body and chattering, is like kind of possession. You do want to feel comfortable, and that non-fear vibration kind of has to match, or it wouldn't be necessarily even a good thing for you.
Right. It
I
wouldn't
also
be
would say,
safe.
all of us can get there.
Yeah.
It's a question of, all of us can get to past lives. You can start to see them, feel them. You can work with people to get there.
I agree.
Um, but it's not just like snapping your fingers, nor should it be.
Right. Well, it's just like baking. You put a cake in wet, and it takes a time before you can bring it back out, and it's something different. So it
Mhm.
is that conditioning, it is that time, and it is that change that we have to get to a point where we're doing that. So anyways, let's move on. Of course, we're heading into political now.
Okay, no
Take a
worries.
deep breath. I was wondering if Bill Barr has Epstein's black book, and will he try to use it to save his own bacon?
Ooh, good question. Let's check out Bill Barr. And I love the term "save his own bacon" because that's just epitomizes him. So, Bill Barr, what are you doing? Do you have that book? Okay, so he's holding that black book. He's got it behind his back. Now he's putting it in his pocket. I see him looking through the names, and I get he already made a couple of deals. He already talked to some people and said, "You're not doing that. You're not prosecuting me this like in this way, are you?" because page 35 has your name next to these three hookers, so he's going through this process. What else is happening? What else you doing there, Bill? Hmm. He's writing something. He's writing with an old quilled pen. Not quite a quilled pen, but one of those ones that you have to dip the ink in. So it's like kind of like an old fashioned, it's like I almost get like old fashioned political tricks. So what are you doing? I even get the feeling like he's somehow convinced those victims to keep quiet, because I see some of them kind of being, cowed by Barr. So great. Okay, the second portion of the question was, can you tell me the second portion again?
Yep, he says, will he try to use it to save his own bacon?
Aha. Yep, he will. That's easy. It's just universe saying yes, he will. Uh, yeah. And he has more information that just is in that book that he's going to use. This is important. It is a death match for him. Like, he did things that could get him in very serious trouble. And he, like Trump, is going to pull whatever he needs to pull to, as you say, save his bacon.
Well, his bacon is starting to heat up. Well,
Uh,
they're bringing back the Mueller report.
oh,
So
they are?
yeah, so well, there's talk of it, and it's been in the news, like they're bringing it back to get, because he's asking, why did you hide the Mueller report there, Mr. Barr? And so there's talk and conversation. So there's that. So if you could go, I guess this is my question following this one.
Sure.
Can you look and see if the Mueller report is going to become more dominant, or if they're going to ever be able to do anything from that document?
Okay, let's see. And just before I'll say this, I think it depends somewhat on the midterms. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
I'll put Dave aside
yeah.
and see about the report. Yeah, what about that report? Well, I see a fuming Mueller, absolutely fuming. He is so angry. And he is actually so enraged at what the attorney general did that he's seriously considering how to play it. He's like, I'm not usually a political gamesman person, but this time, this is so important that I'm going to do something about it. So Mueller, I see, is calling people on the phone and discussing it. You realize if you were a Democratic senator, who's the person you'd call? You'd call Mueller and say, hey, what's up? What was that? And that's what they're doing. So I actually see that he is making a few calls, Mueller himself. And there are Democrats that I see, a pool of them, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, who, as they get to know more, are more and more considering. Look, one thing that's a precedent, now that we have the January 6th Commission, it has been shown to us that it does make a political difference when you show the truth, if you present things in a way that is, pretty objective and pretty smart, and that has a narrative, right, which is what January 6th did, you can make a political difference. So it's really in the Democrats' interests to, and some Republicans, I would say, our nation's interests, to find out the answers that to the questions the Mueller report raised. And I see Mueller now saying, that's all I ask. I don't, I'm not asking anybody to be prosecuted. I'm not asking specifically that you punish Barr, but the truth needs to come out. And again, I feel very patriotic when I see him do that. I feel like he is a true patriot in a sense that, he's Republican. I don't agree with his economic policy, for example, but I do believe that he cares about America and that he's a patriotic person. And see if there's a little bit more here. Certainly, Barr is afraid, and he's afraid of Mueller, and he's afraid of any testimony that Mueller would give about him. That's what Barr's thinking. How do I get this out of the courts?
Yeah, because he can be liable for hiding. That's what the thing is he I think he just went all the way to the razor's edge with that. I gotta protect my president, but I gotta
Mhm. Mhm.
kind of squeeze into justice.
Yeah, right up to
Yeah,
conspiracy.
yeah, he
It's
got
like as far as you could get to conspiracy.
exactly. I gotta
Yeah,
squeeze in that little hole, that little
yeah,
narrow hallway of justice to stay out of
yes, very narrow.
very, very narrow. All right, so here is another one. It says, "Hi Dave, this is from Ellen. Uh, to have clean air, it would help to have a better public transportation system. Is there any hope that the US will have fast trans anytime soon? Fast
Mhm.
trains anytime soon? I thought I saw a map that had potential rail lines. One went to San Antonio and to Kansas City, and the other one from Chicago. Yeah, what does your guides think?
Well, there's two things that are seem important. As you noticed, the environment is changing, and I'm not talking about the political one. I mean the, physical rain, sun dynamic is becoming a big problem for the center of the United States, especially. So the public transportation will come when your regular, maybe non-political centrist person in the middle of Kansas realizes that's a problem, when it's like affecting their day, when they're like, I just lost my job, my farm has no water. That's when the average person can really say, this is a result of climate change, something's got to happen. That is when we'll really move forward. Look, I got to tell you, like, there's so much here. I live in Australia. Every house has solar. Like, probably 50% of the houses have solar, right? So, why doesn't that happen in the United States? We could make electric cars possible tomorrow. Joe Biden could go and say all future cars they have to get 80 miles per gallon. Tomorrow we could do that and it would work. Maybe you would just say all new cars, right? We could change that. There's just not the political will to do it. We've been too busy fighting to save our democracy to move to those higher realms. But you notice that Biden, for example, is forgiving a lot of student loans. Thank you, Biden. I've got loans. But now we're starting to see the political power enough on centrist left that they can start to do things like protect the environment. I see red lines, and I think that they are. I'm guessing these. Yeah, okay. Now I'm being shown they are rail lines. One seems to go from Florida to sort of the central of the United States. Another seems to go from New York to the center. It's kind of odd because they don't necessarily meet. Now I'm seeing like Texas to the center. I'm seeing a lot of sort of railway lines in the center of the country, and I'm seeing like actually rails. So I'm pretty sure that's what they are. But I'm told now that it's going to be some time before this happens, maybe even 30 years before this level of public transportation is real. Keep in mind, it takes time to build these railroads. It takes time to figure out where exactly they should go. It has to happen it'll happen only when people feel like they don't have a choice. Anybody would rather have a car, right? I
Right.
mean, why not?
We want
Why it's so convenient.
self-sufficiency. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yours,
Yeah,
right? You can put air freshener in it if you want to. Who wouldn't want that?
right.
I do think other forms of transportation will to be developed. In the meantime, there's no reason why we can't have more
Hybrid.
efficient
I think
cars.
we should have, I think he should mandate that they would all be hybrid at this point. Like you need
Yes,
your car should be, let's start with hybrid. That's middle ground, you know,
yeah,
that's middle ground.
it's fair.
Fair enough. Yep. So, here's another. Dear Dave, does the man in the moon see the oligarchy's stolen fortunes ever being returned to the people?
Hmm. Great question. Let's take a look at these oligarchies. And I wonder if these oligarchies are talking about Russian ones or just all over the planet. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure she's probably thinking about Russia.
Okay, well, let's take a look at Russia. Hmm. I'm seeing St. Basil's. The St. Basil's dome-shaped basilica. I think it's St. Basil's, and it's almost like it's a painting and it's melting. Like it's starting to drip. And so
That's nice
I'm
to see.
not. Say again.
I said, yeah, I want to see Russia
Yeah,
melt and drip.
yeah.
I'm
It's
sorry.
like it's like wax and it's sort of dripping. But I also see the oligarchs looking worried. They're looking like they're maybe going to lose some of their power. I'm I get to some degree just change in Russia will mean that they are obliged to abscond with a portion of their funds, right? So if they have 350 million, maybe they only get out 35 and go live someplace where they're not known. This isn't going to be the case for all of them. I feel like some of them actually are going to go down. I'm surprised as I look at this because it doesn't look good for the oligarchs. I think Putin has been propping them up, and Putin's not going to last forever. I'd say Putin's on his way out, and that's going to change everything.
Mhm. Yeah, we've
I
all,
don't see.
every one of us has felt very soon. It's not like a year from now, but we've all been predicting this a year ago. I remember doing a video and he just got reelected or something like that. And I'm like, no, he's on his way out. And they're like, oh, Sheila. And I'm like, all I can do is tell you, and here we are.
Mhm. I see a gravestone right now.
Oh,
I
there we
see a
go.
gravestone. Yeah, I'm totally confirmed that. I've always thought that about Putin.
Yep,
He will not last.
yep. So sometimes we just gotta let things percolate. All right, so here we go. Here's another one. It says, is TFG even aware of who accessed the top secret documents that he had stored at Mar-a-Lago? Did people with bad intent read or take documents from him without his knowing? So what they're
Okay.
trying to say is like, did he save them for his own use, or did somebody else take advantage of that use?
I
Of
almost immediately have to say for the first part, yes. Like it's like
I have
blood
the same
red.
thing.
I see like a shaft of blood red, and I see Donald like rubbing his hands together. Look, I mean, we don't have to be a psychic to know that's what Donald Trump would do, right? I mean, that's what he does. Try to find dirt on people, manipulate people based on dirt. Keep in mind, he believes that he's in the fight of his life.
Mhm.
So he's not going to give up all the old tricks now that he's really under pressure. This is survival for him. So, yeah, and he also, the Congress didn't impeach him even though he did that. He blackmailed a foreign leader and tried to change the election based on stuff. So, yeah, I mean, a big fat yes. And it's not like a few of the documents. I'm seeing most of the documents are potential blackmail.
So here's
Yeah.
one question before we go into that, since we got that one settled.
Sure.
How much danger is the United States in because of these secrets getting out?
Is a good question. Yeah. It's interesting. Now I'm getting a black line. and another black line. Um, it's so they're like the red blackmail section almost, and then I have this section of I get like really important state secrets that are beyond Trump's even understanding of how important they are, right? Trump only thinks of himself as being important, so it's almost like he is not even aware of how serious this is, mostly because he doesn't care. So some secrets next to the black line is a sort of another line. So Spirit, can you tell us, what does this mean? Somebody got some secrets, and somebody got a lot of secrets. It's almost like, okay, I'm seeing Mar-a-Lago, and I'm seeing somebody actually sneaking into that place, like getting into the room. I feel like they're dressed as a maid, and they get into the room, and they didn't have time to steal much, but they had time to steal something. It has to do with China and maybe a sliver of Russia. Others made attempts, but the situation wasn't, ripe for them. People were around. This woman dressed as a maid, went in at night. And I mean, really, we're talking about an easily picked lock. Look, and there's no way that China, Russia, foreign powers didn't know that Trump was going to do that. If you were Putin and you knew he kept all this stuff lying around, how hard would it be for you as the former head of the investigative, body? He's a former member of the Stasi. Of course you're going to go and find those documents. That's why. And I think this is very, very, very important. Even the most conservative Republican in our land, anyone with a brain, is going to realize that this has serious consequences for the United States and our powers. Even, Mitch McConnell knows that we have to put Trump in a place where he can't talk, just for our national security. Whether the law supports it or not, he needs to be in a cell where he cannot make a phone call.
Yeah, I
He's
think
too big a risk.
yeah, I think Nina from Nine's Corner. I did a video with her and Danny Shea, and she brought something up that I don't even think I thought of, but they need to find a place. I mean, they have to literally build his prison for him because he can't be in regular population. He can't be over here, and he does need to be silenced. He has to be, because what his game is threat, revenge, and he would absolutely tell somebody, anybody, whatever they wanted if it created a revenge or havoc on somebody that he hated.
And self-preservation.
Which is now the United States, apparently.
Yeah, yeah, sad to say. And don't leave out the Saudis. The Saudis there's a big relationship going on between the two of them. Trump loves money. So anybody who has money is moral for him.
Absolutely. I think, yeah. Yeah, you don't fraternize with the enemies unless you are fraternizing with the enemy.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Here's the next one, and this says, "Hi, Dave. This is when it comes to Leonard Leo. Do you know who that is? Leonard Leo, will his money be his downfall, as well as his downfall of the Supreme Court? Judges he paid off over the years. Thanks." Do you know who Leonard Leo is?
I'm getting the impression by the question, but I don't directly know. Do you know?
I'm going to look him up right now.
Okay, and let me just,
Go ahead
I
and
don't
say what you
necessarily,
feel.
I don't necessarily need to know the biography to check. Let me just take a look at somebody named Leonard Leo. Always hopes to have their face or a birth date, but let's take a look at Leonard. Hmm. Okay, I'm seeing the roof of a house. Oh, it's the Supreme Court. Okay, yeah. I was seeing this sort of triangle. It's the Supreme Court. Ooh, whoa. This is amazing. I don't know what this means, but I'm seeing like the pillars of the Supreme Court cracking and collapsing. Something is really up with the Supreme Court. Barrett is really upset. Wow, I think there's a lot here. The person who's asked this question is pretty intuitive. So I think there's a lot here. Something is up with that question. Something that will really upset the powers, if you will, of the present Supreme Court. Something is collapsing. It might be that it collapsed already because of this character, or that when we find out the truth, it will be, its objectivity will be in peril. I would expect, looking at this, to see changes at the Supreme Court. I don't know if this guy will be punished. I have a feeling, though, he will be discovered. I don't know if he'd actually broke any law, but the justices appear to, at the very least, have been compromised, specifically Barrett.
Well, he is an American lawyer and conservative legal activist. He was a longtime vice president of the Federalist Society, and he is currently serves, let's see, um, he currently serves along Steve G. I don't know how to say this last word. Calabresi.
I don't know
Oh,
what that
I don't know.
is.
Yeah, and as co-chairman of the organization's board of directors. So he's
Hmm.
definitely Leo assisted Clarence Thomas in his Supreme Court confirmation hearing and led campaigns to support the Supreme Court nominees of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Roberts, Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, all of them. He was there to get these people all in there. So I have
Yeah, he did something wrong there. At least very unethical, which when it's discovered will have consequences.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing the reason why asking this, but yeah. Well, that's good. Then that person will know exactly what that means.
Okay, good.
All right. So, hey, Dave, how does 45's mom and dad think about what he did is doing to the United States and the family name?
Hmm.
So
Well,
these are of course past, right?
yeah. His mom rolls her eyes. And it's like, oh, these Trumps at their antics again. She's not that well, now that I see her again, she does seem a little bit ashamed, right? And that is like, wow, I really raised that kid. Wow. She seems, the father, he, I forget the Trump father's name, but
Fred.
Fred was not a good person in his lifetime. He was just not a good person. There are many ways to describe him. I mean, among this is a horrible racist, but he's not a good person. And I think in life, he was proud to create this little, monstrous copy of himself. Basically, he is the same as Fred, only Donald is good at manipulating the media, right? Fred didn't care about the media as much. So, but I think all of us have this happen when we get to the other side. We really do take a sort of evaluation of what we were like. There's an edge to Fred Trump that still thinks, yeah, okay, why? It's capitalist society. We all believe in power. This was what's supposed to happen. So yeah, it's like Judas. I was supposed to sell out the Lord, so that's what I did. That's the course of history that's supposed to happen. There's a bit of that. But there is now on the other side a revelation of his own. Like, I really could have been a better person, and I wasn't a good person. And now I have to choose which of these lifetimes am I going to learn that lesson, right? Which of the lifetimes am I going to be a saint?
Yeah.
I'll tell you in my work when I do past life regressions, I often find people will get the extreme. There'll be a lifetime where they were just not at all of a good person, or let's just say a lifetime where they were really bad at social interactions. They were totally secluded. And they'll have this other lifetime where they like helped thousands of souls as this, priest who lived on bread and water every day. They'll have these real two extremes. And I would just encourage all of you to, don't be too hard on yourselves. We're all learning that from the white to the black, we're all learning those shades of gray, right? We're all learning how to be just or how to be more self aware, whatever we're learning. We probably have different tests and we probably have 10 things we're working on in this lifetime. So,
I'm never, yeah,
it's,
that's what I said. I'm never worried about somebody misbehaving in their past. What I worry
yeah,
about is them misbehaving in the past and present.
yes.
Because if
And
we
also,
haven't learned from that,
yeah, exactly. It's a denial of what happened.
yes,
We all make mistakes and it's
yeah,
difficult to accept, but there has to be a certain point where you're like, you know what? I could have been better,
yep,
so
exactly.
that's the most valuable thing I think that a human can have. If you are not defensive enough to realize, hey, I could have done something better. Don't beat yourself up. Everybody makes mistakes. But well, I learned that, move on. That's,
Yes,
I think, super valuable.
yes, yes, yes. That's definitely the key. And the first impression when I read that thing is it's almost like his parents had apathy towards him. Like there was nothing we could do with him anyway.
They were interested in themselves.
Yeah, they were like,
You
I
know?
don't, we tried, and he's a lost cause. He was going to do what he wants. That's kind of the parenting I felt from the whole when you asked that question. Like, it doesn't matter. We couldn't change him anyway. They were like,
Yeah.
it's not our
That,
fault.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's some truth to that too.
yeah. Well, they would never take credit for it. Or they
Yeah.
would never,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They would not take credit or blame.
Yeah. I think that's true.
So, yeah. All right. Let's see. The next one is, let's see, trying to find another. Okay, here's a Gates. Hello there. We're checking up on Gates again. Because Gates, it just feels like the momentum is building for Gates. And although he won his primary,
I do not understand this.
I don't either. I just want to,
Don't get it.
I can't get it. I can't. They are truly ignoring the fact of who he is, and they think that I think some Republicans, and in fact those ones that vote for these like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and all them, enjoy the fact that they are so cruel.
Yes. Yeah.
you know
Well,
they enjoy
that's
it.
it is a cult of cruelty now.
Yes.
Cruelty because you enjoy it, right? It's not, think of people at the border. I don't know what we're supposed to do at the border, and neither do you. I don't have a quick solution to the problems of South America that bring people up. But, you know, let's have some compassion for those people.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's.
if you lived there, you'd try to get to the United States too.
Yes.
Even if you had an okay job, you'd try because of the horrible political situation you live in. And, if you're a 5-year-old kid, you can't change it.
No,
Let's have some compassion
I agree.
while we make our law, right?
I agree. Always thought that maybe we should create a whole new state around the border and create that,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
because then it won't bleed into any other states. But God forbid Texas give up some soil. But anyways,
Yeah, right.
let's see. Here they are, and thank you for sharing with us. My question is how in the world did Gates win his primary? I'm just saying
All
that. Like,
right.
well, I don't know how in the world he win his primary. Is there
We have the
no
same
way that this is
questions.
blatant madness? Is he
We have the
actually
same
going to
question.
win? Will any
Mhm.
justice ever come for him?
This is what's so frustrating for all of us, and that is the power of denial.
Oh, yeah.
And we all know people who live completely in denial. They're able to function, they go to work, they have a normal job, they might even be rich and powerful, right? They are able to do denial. And all of us do that to some degree. You and I, as we're moving into this job, had to deny those doubts. We had to deny, no, everything says we shouldn't be able to do this, but we're going to do that. We all do that for our own movement forward. We deny our fear, for example. But there's a whole population of people that is doing that on a political level. It doesn't matter if he transported, young women to have sex because, well, he's against women's reproductive rights, and I am too. So the greater good is all of those, fetuses. That's the greater good. And I shouldn't say fetuses, I should say ideas that lead to fetuses, right? Those are more important than one person's rape, essentially. So I think the people who do that, the people who are there, it's like I know people who were members of a church organization, and at a certain point, they said the pastor's doing really bad things. And when they went and said that, they are ostracized. The people do not want to believe that this person that they hold in some high esteem is bad. They need a person to be good, and not only that, 100% good. That
Yeah.
is, Donald Trump does no wrong,
Yeah.
right? He's like a god. Well, nobody could possibly live up to, Abraham Lincoln did not live up to that standard, but they really want there to be good and evil. And if they can't make that distinction, they will create it. They will create an icon of good. And there is a little bit of that meanness we were just talking about, where actually there's a portion of them, and the irony is, of course, many of these people would call themselves Christian, but there's a portion of them that likes the fact that he is mean, that
Yeah.
enjoys the fact that he denies the truth and suppresses women, and rapes them. There is a body of people that just think of any boss that you've ever had, especially if they're male, that does not like to be questioned, right? They just don't believe you have the right to question them. And they believe that their success depends on sort of hierarchies of power. Yeah, I think that's why. If we go to Ohio, there may be many such people, and also people who truly believe that a bad person who agrees with me is better than a good person who disagrees.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to win his primary?
You mean win his election? Because I think he did. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I
Let's.
meant. I mean his election, his re-election.
Well, I'm going to say I don't. This seems like a no. I see a big black X across him. I don't know what the political fight. I don't know what the political fight is. It might be. Well, I mean, if we were just to take this directly, I would say no. It might be that he is elected, and then the political storm hits, or the judicial storm in his case. All I see is a big X. I wouldn't count on him to be successful, and I'm getting 6 months. Something's going to happen in 6 months.
Well, that's good. Well, we have to, well, that's what they were kept on talking about is even if these little terrorists get in back in, if we still keep the House and we keep the Senate, is that we can get these out. Because
Yes.
once we put them there, once we take them, the Senate, they can't talk. That when they are outed, like they can't have any committees, they can't do anything. They are going under the law. If you were engaged in insurrection, you've got to go. I think that they have a secondary plan. That's what I kind of felt all along, because the Democratic Party is not really like screaming to the top of the lungs, "Don't let them in! Don't let them in!" They're all like,
Yeah.
well, let's see how it goes. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I like
Yeah.
the big X for sure. I think
Too. Uh-huh.
his karma is, and I just pulled some cards on his Wheel of Fortune, which is karma coming, because karma is then the Five of Pentacles, awareness and worry. So his karma is coming for him. And that
Hmm.
is one thing I always have to remind people of. Bad
Hmm.
people, or the people who are putting out the black magic, it comes back tenfold. It may not happen in our time frame and how fast you
Uh-huh.
want it, but it does, either in health, whatever, financial ruin, whatever.
Hmm.
Can you
Hmm.
imagine what he has to give up as a good human being in order to be Matt Gaetz? You have to give
Hmm.
up honesty, you have to give up integrity, you have to give up, you know, just natural decency. That's all he had to give all of that up to be Matt Gaetz.
And he will never have a relationship with a woman that is trustworthy.
Never.
No, no, no woman would ever, no, honest person would ever be in relationship with him and support him. Right.
He's married, right? But what
Uh,
he's putting his wife through, I'm sure, is not pleasant. It can't
yes.
be.
Uh-huh.
She
And
has
we have to
probably,
ask, what's in it for her? What's in it for her?
well,
Um,
she signed up for that misery. I don't have no sympathy for her.
no sympathy. Yeah, no
None.
sympathy. Right.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you did that to yourself. You were told before you married
Yes.
him who and what he was, and you still said yes.
Uh-huh. And you looked at that snide smile and you knew what was behind it. Anyone could.
Exactly. Exactly. You were told by your sister who he was, because he was flirting with, I guess, her sister, and her sister went public about it. And then she got told to recant her story, of
Oh,
course. But yeah, she told her sister. Then I don't think her family was even at the wedding because of all of that. But so
no kidding.
she knew exactly who she was. So I feel
Uh-huh.
okay. So let's go to I think we're getting about an hour in. So let's do a Lindsey Graham. So Lindsey Graham, you
Mm.
heard him. He was supposed to subpoena, then he got told that he still had to do it because he's fighting it, and then he got a another judge to put a stay on it because he
Hmm.
because Lindsey Graham only wants to testify with this and that and the other. He wants to control what's going on because he's a raging alcoholic, and that's what alcoholics do.
Oh,
He's
I didn't know that.
raging. So he has all of that going on, but what he has to testify. There's no other way of him getting out of it. But people are
Hmm.
worried because he's going in and doing a Trump tactic to delay, make it delay.
Hmm.
Is he going to testify before the midterms to Georgia?
It's so funny that you said he's an alcoholic. I just see like drinks lined up. And when people are alcoholics and they face really difficult situations, they need a drink beforehand. So I'm just seeing him like in the courthouse going, how can I get to the bathroom quick and get a shot down before I start this? It's going to be really hard for him to. I'm just getting this too. Lindsey Graham was badly treated as a child. People made fun of him. He was one of those children that got teased and mercilessly. And I think it's because he's not super macho, and the culture that he grew up in. This is one of the reasons why he drinks. Now that's a little bit aside from the thing we're talking about, but I am being showed drink after drink after drink. But it's also going to play a part because once if he's a little bit drunk when he's sitting on that witness stand, and I see him there blurting out the wrong thing. It's like he's totally in control, but something happens where he exposes himself. So he's sitting on the witness stand. I do believe that he's going to be there. Oh, wow. So, culturally speaking, there's maybe something where somebody wore, it's a little bit like the X, where they'd wear like a black thing across their chest as almost like a funeral, pallbearer or something. He's got this black sort of thing across his chest. It's like he's marked, or it's like a death knell or something like that. He looks very surprised. Yeah, he's going to go there and say the wrong thing and expose everything. And don't doubt this prosecutor, because the prosecutors are smart and they have a bunch of different ways to ask a question. And, he's got to tell the truth or he can be in prison for perjury. He does not see a good way out of the situation. And he's drinking up a storm. It's like, there's alcoholic and then there's raging alcoholic who shouldn't ever be anywhere near a car. There's that kind of sort of dangerous level of alcohol consumption, which is just physically dangerous for him. And he's in trouble with his colleagues because there's a lot of pressure he's feeling a lot of pressure from the Trump camp to hold the line. And he's not sure at all how he can do it. I see him crying and wearing the dunce cap. So, the dunce cap is like the bad student in the class in the 1800s would sit in the corner. So it's like he's the dunce that's going to take the fall. Either they're going to reject him because of what he says, or he's going to take responsibility for doing things and lying. It's an impossible project for Lindsey. I don't admire him in this situation.
Wow, there's another no sympathy added there.
Yeah,
That guy. Yeah, he put himself there. I mean, I feel bad for him as a child.
right, exactly. Right.
I mean,
But he's
nobody
not a
wants
child
that.
anymore.
Yeah, not a child anymore. Correct.
Right.
And there's children that've been through worse. I'm
Yeah.
sure of it. Okay, so I think we're down to a lot of when will Trump be arrested? And we'll end with that. Close your eyes, meditate on that. When will he be indicted, arrested, stopped?
It's really important right now for the government to watch his every move, monitor his every call. At any moment, he could give really important secrets away. So rest assured, there is somebody nearby physically like watching him to make sure of what he does and give that information back to the feds, the US government. Something happens in 3 months where I'm getting maybe right around the time of the midterms, where he is silenced and almost told, don't leave Mar-a-Lago, don't make any calls, don't go on social media, or you'll be arrested, right? That's serious a thing. And Trump is freaking out because you just can't, it's like a narcissist without the microphone. He keeps creating the same problem. In 6 months, it becomes much more serious. On that, I see a handcuff just one on his wrist. He's still going nuts. It's getting worse and worse. And he tries to do something. He tries to do some form of blackmail, escape, leave with some of the documents. He still has some of the documents, by the way. There is a small set of documents that nobody knows about, and it's like a roll of, it's like he's rolled up in a piece of paper. So, he rolled up the piece of paper and he, stuck it inside the post of the American flag, so nobody knew about it. So he still has plans to blackmail people, and it has to do with Korea and South Korea's safety. It has to do with some very serious stuff. There's several things that are in there that are very, very important. And he's going to pull a number in 6 months, despite court orders, that we become aware of. And that's when he really gets shut down. That's when even the Republicans are like, this is so dangerous. We're going to have to stop this guy. And I see house arrest. I see his supporters becoming a little bit disenchanted, and they're starting to see that they have followed the wrong path. The supporters start to disappear. They're still there, but they're almost regressing. And when does Trump go to prison? Okay. 6 months to a year. And that imprisonment may look something like stuck at Mar-a-Lago, unable to make a phone call. It might even be that they can't put him in on trial, because the trial itself would reveal so many government secrets that it would endanger the country. So they can't. It's like,
I think they literally have to build a prison.
yeah.
I
And
don't
that
think
could
he's
just be
going to be able to
Mar-a-Lago.
stay at Mar-a-Lago. I don't think, yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
Mar-a-Lago made the prison that they built for him may look like and resemble a resort because of
Right.
the former president.
Mm-hmm.
They may give him those type of comforts of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they literally will have to build a prison for him.
And I
And
do
I
see a
think,
prison cell.
yep, and I think when you keep
Yeah.
on saying 6 months, I'm seeing 6 weeks. I don't know if that makes a difference between you and me. I don't know. I see
It's possible.
6 weeks.
When I do this work, time is,
It is
so
really
relative.
difficult. I get it.
It could be 6 weeks, right? And I've often seen things and said, "Oh, that's what's going to happen," and been way off. It's like 2 years later that Bill
Right.
Barr, has a. So don't trust me entirely on time,
I agree.
but
Me either. I
I
can't have
think
it either.
you don't need to be a psychic to know that Donald Trump is a security risk.
Oh yeah.
And you can also note that the general Republican is much, much less loud than they were before. They know in their heart of hearts that he is is a big risk. And if they support him and something bad happens because of that, they will get in a lot of trouble. They could
Absolutely.
bury the Republican Party forever.
All right, so we're at the end of the thing. A yes or no? Did documents get buried with Ivana
Ooh. Spirited documents get buried with Ivana.
or something?
Wasn't documents, it was what's in her head.
Ah,
That's what got buried. The documents are in her brain. She knows a lot.
she knew information.
And I feel like she was holding that information over Donald, right, to protect her children.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
she's a
think
tiger mom. Or she
as
was.
Lena puts it, she is the mother of dragons.
Oh man, you gotta love Lena.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She comes up with the best stuff ever.
She does.
The
She
mother of
does.
dragons.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much if you made it this far. I really do appreciate you. And yeah, go check out the Cash Peters and David Johnson's video on his
Mm.
channel.
Exclusive.
Still envious. But anyways, all right. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.